now, and this is Should I Film Now? In the last video we had a workshop tour and we discussed what sort of projects to expect here. We didn't talk about coffee and we didn't talk about the kitchen, yet here we are in the kitchen and we're going to talk about coffee. I've always drunk coffee, but I've never really enjoyed coffee up until about a year ago when some friends came to live with me and they brought this little setup here. So for the last 12 months or so, I've had a live-in barista who has slowly weaned me off the mud, the instant mud with the 8 sugars that I've been drinking, and refined my palate some more. The only issue is that my friends have now decided to move out and get a flat of their own, and therefore they'll be taking their espresso machine with them. So I've decided to make a purchase, and I bought this Gaggia Classic with a Gaggia grinder and some other bits and pieces to go along with it. So let's unpack it, check that it works, and then take it apart. Okay, so full disclaimer, I've already had a sneak peek in the box and already had it out. I've not used it yet, but let's take a look. Okay, coffee machine, grinder. So let's test these out first, exactly as they came, or almost exactly as they came, and check that it all works before we completely strip it down and take them all apart. So the grinder came with this very large hopper, but I always plan to do, basically single shot use, so we don't need this bit. This little tray here, I don't really like that, so we're not going to use that either. So for the grinder, we're going to start with this box. So this is a single dose hopper, and it also has this plunger bit on the top, so that when grinding you can plunge that down and it will blast air through the blades and the discs and expel all the additional coffee. So yeah, that's I think that's a big improvement over the standard hopper so far. Okay, so I can go there. Okay, so we need to do a little bit of setup on the coffee machine. So this is what it came with. Feels a bit cheap, but yeah, we're not going to need that. So I've got this one here, 58mm, bottomless, and this is going to give us a little bit more space to get a cup under there when it's sitting on the scales. Okay. What other stuff? A spoon, yeah, that can go. Right, okay. So water, so the water can be filled up here, or you can fill it from the top. So let's put this in here. The pipes need to go under. Make sure that the pipe's sitting at the bottom. Okay. So because we're doing single shot stuff, we need a single shot cup. So this is we grind into here, and then I can drop it there. So I need that. So I've got this, maybe I'll set this up later because we've got to put all the needles into it, but this is the same thing here, and this is basically a fluffer. It fluffs your coffee, fluffs your grind before you run the hot water through it. So yeah, we'll leave that one. we have a stainless steel espresso milk, or a cappuccino milk mug. Okay, we'll probably just use that one for now. We've got a filter. We won't take the plastic off now. That'll be fine. Put that right in there. And yeah, cheap plastic. So we can use this. There we go, self-leveling tamper. We've also got this. So it's a nice little funnel that we click on there, magnetic, and then that makes it easier for pouring, fluffing, and tampering. Now, this is meant to go here, and if you use the standard one, yeah, that's going to sit in there and be fine. But if we're doing single dose, that doesn't actually hit the single dose cup, so we'll remake this. Okay, let's throw some water in it, grind some coffee, and let's see what it looks like. Okay, so let's start by weighing out 18 grams of coffee. 18.1, close enough. Okay, so now we can pour that into the hopper. Stick that rubber thing back onto there. Now I'm going to set a grind setting of about, say, 5. Yeah. And let's turn it on. And to go, we push this button here. So, first use, yeah, I mean, we got most of it in the cup. This didn't work quite as expected. Yeah, so we've still got quite a few coffee beans in here. So maybe I'll try without this. One thing I'll say is it's very quiet, and yeah, it seems to have ground. Fluffer. A little tap. And we need scale, and we're going to need a cup, which just fits in. Helps if it's plugged in. Okay, so practice is needed. Tastes like coffee though, it's good. No sugar, I can drink that, yeah. Okay, so as I did in my childhood, when I get a brand new toy, don't play with it, let's take it apart. Well, there's the grinder completely disassembled. It's not too bad. So, what am I going to do with all of this? So a couple of things that I haven't liked straight away, right? So let's talk about this on the back here. So this machine comes with a nice kettle lid on it, and I do like being able to take the power cable off of the device. This is obviously, there's no separate power cable, that's the power goes straight to the board, right? So what we want to do is, since this has a kettle lead, let's also do the same. So we will mount this little guy on the back here, and then they will get attached to that board there, and we can do away with this and use a regular kettle lead. Other things, I don't like that, so these are the same brand, but they look completely different to each other. So the reason for taking this apart is that we'll get this powder coated. But this is a really quite nice aluminium extrusion, being machined quite well. Decent. Okay, so there's the grinder. Okay, so this is still quite hot, but let's give it a go. So I'm going to start with these 2 screws on the top here. Okay, so we've got some sort of grounding, two earths, okay. And let's clip these screws and we'll pop them in this box. Okay, piece 1. So, a little lock in here. When you got the lid off, it looks complicated, but I don't think it actually is. And I think this has all been designed so, you know, what we're intending to do can be done. It looks like it's designed so it is serviceable. It looks like, you know, it is meant to be got at easy. So that's good. Okay, so where to disassemble next? So I think probably free the power socket. So there are just these 4 plastic tabs that you should be able to push in and then pop the whole thing forward. They've just been a little bit. Let's come back to that. So these pipes just all feed through here. Okay, you can pull them through. There seems to be an overflow pipe there, so let's pop that off. I think the rest are on the boiler from this angle. Let's lay it down. Right, okay, now we're free, except for all this cabling. Okay, so right, they can go in there and out, and the knobs so we don't lose them. Clip there that holds the steaming nozzle on. Now we're definitely free. Boiler's still hot. Three. success. Okay, and there's the teardown complete. You might be asking, why did I just disassemble 2 brand new kitchen appliances? The grinder and the espresso machine. So, I like red. These aren't red, so they need to be red first. So yeah, strip them down. These are now going to go off to the powder coaters, and yeah, should come back with a nice red matching finish. I also didn't like that this was aluminium, this was stainless steel, and you know, if they're going to sit together, I like them to look like they go together. So yeah, off to the powder coaters. Now, for the grinder, before we go to the powder coaters, we need to cut that opening in the back so it can receive one of these, so it matches this unit as well. So looks like that. That will also go in there. The other things to do here, so yeah, powder coating, and then we'll probably put this back together and we might mod it further again. So there's no like built-in scales and stuff here. You know, I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to be using it yet. I think I'll still weigh out the coffee and do single doses. I'm not going to leave the hopper full of beans. If I do end up leaving the hopper full of beans, then this button here and the control panel is a time-based system opposed to a weight. So that's going to be on a weight system, because every time you change beans and every time you adjust the grinder, you've got to dial in that weight again, right? Because by changing that, it's going to take a different amount of time to grind those beans than it would another type, right? So rather than having a time-based system, maybe put in a load cell here with a little Arduino or something similar to actually weigh it out. But if I'm always doing single dose and I weigh the dose out first, yeah, either way, for now, we'll just solve this power problem and powder coat it. This, on the other hand, so out the box is a very capable machine, a very manual but very capable. And there are some mods, so everyone goes on about the GaggiMate, but for this I think I'm going to go for the GaggiMate. So the GaggiMate basically does exactly the same thing, right? So you have a small microcontroller that has some sort of interface, whether that be touchscreen or via your phone, or even laptop. But either way, it adds additional temperature and pressure sensors, and adds additional control over the flow rate and the temperature, and is more granular. The only way to interact with this at the moment is you turn it on, you turn the boiler on to produce coffee at the bottom, toggle that on and off, and the steam, turn that on, steam becomes available, and then toggle that with the knob on the side here. We can get more control, more precision by adding a microcontroller. So in anticipation of receiving said GaggiMate, I've 3D printed this little box, so that's where the microcontroller will go, and that will sit on the inside. However, I have not 3D printed the housing for the screen. So with the GaggiMate, this will go on the inside, but then you get a round screen, and there's a 3D printed shelf for it that basically clips onto the front here, and you have this little wire that sticks out the side and goes in somewhere. I don't really like that aesthetic, so I have a wooden ball, and I'm thinking that maybe I'll mount this wooden ball on the side here and flatten off on face, and the screen will sit in that face. So yeah, but until the GaggiMate actually turns up, I won't know how exactly I want to cut into this and how to mount it. And I would like to put any holes in this before it gets powder coated, but that's not strictly essential. I can't think of any other holes that I want to put in other than for getting power to that screen. So yeah, while we're waiting for the rest of the GaggiMate to turn up, I will send this and this off to the powder coaters and get them powder coated. Okay, so before this can actually go for powder coating, we need to mark where this up is going and to cut it out. So to mark it up, we want to make sure that where we're going to put the hole isn't going to interfere with anything. So if that is like that, that'd be like that, and the power there. So there's quite a bit of space here. We don't want to go high because we know that's where the motor is going to sit. So we want to be as low as we can to the bottom here. So we want that to be there like that, which will give us plenty of clearance. So I put this back in here, and where that lip goes up to, I have marked here. You can see that. So that's where we want. We don't want the switch to be any, or the socket to be any lower than that. So just roughly put that on there with a little bit of clearance on the plastic. Very roughly, I'm just going to draw around it. So move those markings to the outside, and then I think the drill and the file is probably going to be the best way to open that out. So just drill out where the corners are, get as much material out as we can with the drill, and then file it up. So let's transfer some of these values. So as long as I stay just within inside that black line, then this should fit in quite nicely. Okay, to the drill press. Okay, so we're set up over by the drill press, and I've put a 10mm drill in the chuck, and I've marked out some additional bits, 5mm in from all the edges. So if I hit those bits there, it's going to be difficult with that one because there's a hole in the way. But if I drill on those 4 spots, that should give me nice corners and remove a fair amount of the meat. Make sure that the drill lands on them correctly. Let's might re-drill these here in a bit. And by file, I originally meant finger sander. So a slightly more comfortable workbench. We are trying to make this fit in here. So still quite a way to go. Okay, so needs a little bit of cleaning up, but I'm happy with that. The back from powder coaters, and in a lovely shade of red. Yeah, so this is much better. And let's have a look at this one as well. Yeah, inside and out. So, time for some reassembly, and we will start with low-hanging fruit, which is the grinder. I am going to change the camera angle though, to get a better view, and also more importantly, so I can sit down while reassembling it. But yeah, let's put this back together. So this is what we're reassembling everything onto. So we've got our hole that we made for the new power plug. With red. So yeah, let's start with that. So we want to put this kettle plug on, and we want to may as well retain this. So let's, and that's where it went through the case before. So yeah, let's so when I plug that into there, that needs to be neutral, that needs to be earth, and that needs to be live. Okay, fairly straightforward. Okay. Now, when we were disassembling, we need to make a small repair here. So we broke this connection off of here. So okay, so I think from the reverse order, we should do this button first. So in goes the button. Okay. So the next bit to add is going to be our adapted power cable. That will pop into there. And this should be nice. There we go. A nice brush fit. Not strictly necessary, but for good measure, let's put a little bit of hot snot on here. The motor. So let's drop the motor in. So the motor goes on like this. Everything drops down. Okay, so the spout here, we've still got the grind adjustment granularity knob here. Okay, yeah, let's flip all of these out. Let's see what we had. Okay, so I remember we had 4 screws the same for securing this down. That's going to be the earthing screw that we need in a minute. Then we had 3 of these small Phillipses for the bottom. There was 2 for that plastic bezel along with that long one. There were 2 more round ones that had the washers on. This goes with this on the front, and they were the final 2 trim pieces at the back. Okay, that seems pretty good to me. Okay, so we need the base. And here's everything that we need to plug onto the base. Oh, almost everything we need to plug onto the base. We still need that bit. I'm going to redo the earth cable first. So let's take these two earth cables, and they just went like that. This is what goes on here, and this will just feed through. So let's do that. So let's finish off at the bottom here. Let's consult the video. So these are the motor connections. Brown closest to the relay, then black, then red, then grey. So there's one self-explanatory where that goes there. And this guy's managed to get stuck in the hot snow. That can only connect one way into there. So there is this bit here. Let's just put it on so we don't lose anything. But this bit does need some rethinking and some re-engineering, because our single shot cup will not fit into it anymore. Will never fit into it. So final piece. This went on here. Okay, that's all back together. Still some coffee in there. So let's test if it still works. Put that in there. Plug this in at the back here. Let's turn it on. Excellent. Yeah. And it's quiet as it was before. Excellent.
Hi, VoiceOver Yale here. Just in the process of editing the footage and realizing that I have over 6 hours of footage and just unable to cram all of this into a single video. So this is the end of part 1, but please like, subscribe, and stay tuned for part 2, where we shall complete the Gaggia build and knock out some great coffee.